The candle had burned to a stub. Its weak flame cast shadows across the library where Lord Gabriel Thornwood sat slumped over his desk. Papers covered the mahogany surface. His dark hair fell across his forehead. His hand still gripped a pen. The ink had dried on the tip hours ago. Beatrice Hartley stood in the doorway with a tea tray. She had not expected to find anyone awake at this hour. The clock in the hall had chimed 2 just moments before. She should turn around. She should leave him undisturbed. But something in his posture made her pause. He looked so very tired. Even in sleep, his brow was furrowed. Lines of worry marked his face. She set the tray down quietly on a side table. The cups did not rattle. She had learned to move through this house like a ghost. It was safer that way. Less likely to draw attention. Less likely to anger the people who barely tolerated her presence. She moved closer to the desk. His breathing was deep and even. One hand rested near his face. The other had fallen to his side. Papers surrounded him. Letters, accounts, documents that required his attention. She could see the strain even in his sleep. The fire in the hearth had died to embers. The room had grown cold. Her own shawl was thin. It would not keep her warm on the walk back to her chamber. But it was all she had. She pulled it from her shoulders. The worn fabric was soft from years of use. It had been her mother's once. Now it was the only comfort she possessed. Beatrice draped it carefully over his broad shoulders. The shawl looked small against his frame. He did not wake. She stood there for a moment. She did not know why she had done it. He was the master of this house. She was nothing. Less than nothing. A poor relation. A burden. A charity case. But he had looked cold. And she could not simply walk away. Beatrice Hartley had not always been so invisible. Once she had been the daughter of a gentleman. Her father had owned a small estate. They had not been wealthy, but they had been comfortable, happy. Her mother had taught her to read and play piano. Her father had called her his little sparrow. Then her parents died. Fever took them both within a week. Beatrice was 18. She had nowhere to go. Her father's cousin took the estate. There were debts she had not known about. Everything was sold. The cousin made it clear that she was not welcome. Her mother's brother agreed to take her in. Uncle Richard and Aunt Louisa lived in London. They had 3 daughters of their own. Pretty daughters who needed dowries. Daughters who needed to make good matches. Beatrice was an unexpected burden on their already strained finances. That was 2 years ago. 2 long years of making herself small, of trying to be useful, of pretending not to hear when Aunt Louisa complained about the cost of feeding another mouth, of ignoring the cruel remarks from her cousins Margaret and Penelope. They were younger than Beatrice but prettier, more accomplished, more everything. Now they were at Lord Thornwood's estate for the summer. Uncle Richard had business with the Earl. Aunt Louisa hoped that Margaret might catch his eye. Beatrice was here as an unpaid servant. She fetched things. She mended clothes. She made herself useful in 100 small ways that no one noticed or appreciated. She slept in a tiny room near the servants' quarters. She ate after the family had finished. She wore hand-me-down dresses that had been remade too many times. The fabric was thin, the colors were faded, but she was grateful to have them. Aunt Louisa reminded her of that often. The morning after she found Lord Thornwood in the library, Beatrice woke before dawn. She always woke early. It gave her time to tend to her tasks before anyone needed her. She dressed quickly in the cold room. Her fingers fumbled with the buttons. She made her way downstairs to help the servants prepare breakfast. Cook was kind to her. Mrs. Davies treated her better than her own family did. The older woman often saved her extra bread or a piece of fruit. "You look tired, dear," Mrs. Davies said as Beatrice entered the kitchen. "Did you sleep poorly?" "I am well, thank you," Beatrice replied. She did not mention the late night. She did not mention the Earl asleep at his desk. "That man works himself to death," Mrs. Davies muttered. She was rolling out dough for bread. Flour dusted her plump hands. His valet found him in the library this morning, still at his desk. Said someone had put a shawl over him. A woman's shawl. Beatrice felt her cheeks warm. She busied herself with setting out teacups. Perhaps one of the maids was concerned for his health. "Perhaps," Mrs. Davies said, but her eyes were knowing. "You have a good heart, Miss Beatrice. Better than some in this house deserve." Before Beatrice could respond, the bell rang. Aunt Louisa was awake. She wanted her chocolate. Beatrice took the tray and climbed the stairs. Her legs ached. She had not slept enough. But that was nothing new. She knocked softly on her aunt's door. "Enter," came the sharp voice. Aunt Louisa sat up in bed. Her nightcap was slightly crooked. Her face was pinched with displeasure. "You are late." "I apologize," Beatrice said. She set the tray on the bedside table. Her hands were steady. She had learned not to show fear or hurt. "Margaret needs her hair dressed. Penelope's blue gown needs pressing, and I expect you to accompany us on our walk this afternoon. Lord Thornwood may join us. Margaret must look her best." "Yes, Aunt Louisa. And do something about your own appearance. You look like a beggar. It reflects poorly on us." Beatrice kept her eyes down. "Yes, Aunt Louisa." She spent the morning in service to her cousins. Margaret complained that her hair was not fashionable enough. Penelope said the pressing was not done properly. Nothing Beatrice did was good enough. It never was. By afternoon, she was exhausted. But she put on her least faded dress. She pinned her brown hair neatly. She looked at herself in the small mirror in her room. Plain. That was what they called her. Plain Beatrice. Poor Beatrice. Unfortunate Beatrice. She did not think she was beautiful. But she did not think she was ugly either. Her eyes were a clear grey. Her features were even. Her figure was slight, but not displeasing. Once her father had said she had her mother's gentle grace. But that felt like a lifetime ago. The walk took them through the gardens. The estate was beautiful. Rolling lawns stretched toward a line of trees. Flowers bloomed in careful beds. Fountains sparkled in the sunshine. It was the kind of place Beatrice had dreamed of as a girl. But now it was just another place where she did not belong. Lord Thornwood joined them near the rose garden. Beatrice had seen him from a distance before, but she had never been formally introduced. He was tall. His dark hair was brushed back from his face. His eyes were a deep blue. He wore his wealth and title with ease. His coat was perfectly tailored. His boots were polished to a shine. "Lord Thornwood," Uncle Richard said with a bow, "how good of you to join us." "The pleasure is mine," the Earl replied. His voice was deep and measured. He looked at each of them in turn. His gaze paused on Beatrice. Something flickered in his eyes. Recognition? But he said nothing. Margaret stepped forward. She smiled her prettiest smile. "What a lovely estate you have, my lord. The gardens are beyond compare." "Thank you, Miss Hartley," he said, but his attention seemed elsewhere. He looked at Beatrice again. "And this is—" "My niece," Aunt Louisa said quickly. "Beatrice. She is here as companion to my daughters. Poor thing. Lost her parents some years ago. We have taken her in out of Christian charity." Beatrice felt the familiar shame burn in her chest. She curtsied low. "My lord." "Miss Beatrice," he said. His voice was softer now. "I believe I have you to thank for a kindness last night." The group fell silent. Aunt Louisa's eyes narrowed. Margaret looked confused.
Uncle Richard frowned. "I do not understand, my lord," Aunt Louisa said. Lord Thornwood kept his eyes on Beatrice. "Someone covered me with a shawl as I worked. I fell asleep at my desk. Most careless of me. But I woke this morning warmer than I had any right to be. I found this." He pulled a worn shawl from his pocket. Beatrice's shawl. Her mother's shawl. "I hoped to return it to its owner." Beatrice could not breathe. Everyone was staring at her. Margaret's face was red with jealousy. Aunt Louisa looked ready to explode. Uncle Richard appeared deeply disapproving. "It is mine, my lord," Beatrice said quietly. "I did not mean to intrude. I only thought you might be cold." "You did not intrude," he said. He stepped forward and held out the shawl. "Thank you. It was a kindness I did not expect, and one I will not forget." She took the shawl. Their fingers brushed for just a moment. His hands were warm. His eyes held hers. There was something in his gaze. Something she did not understand. Something that made her heart beat faster. "You are welcome, my lord," she whispered. The walk continued, but the mood had changed. Margaret tried to regain Lord Thornwood's attention, but he seemed distracted. He walked near the back of the group, near where Beatrice trailed behind. He did not speak to her again, but she felt his presence. She felt his eyes on her from time to time. That evening, Beatrice was called to Aunt Louisa's room. She knew what was coming. Her aunt's face was tight with anger. "How dare you?" Aunt Louisa hissed. "How dare you put yourself forward like that? Sneaking into his library, making yourself known to him." "I only meant to bring him tea," Beatrice said. "I did not know he would be there." "You are trying to catch his attention. You are trying to steal the opportunity from Margaret." "I am not, I swear." "You will stay in your room tomorrow. You will not join us for meals. You will remember your place." Beatrice nodded. There was no point in arguing. She curtsied and left. She climbed the stairs to her small room. She closed the door and sat on the narrow bed. The shawl was in her hands. It still smelled faintly of books and ink, of him. She did not cry. She had learned that tears changed nothing. Instead, she lay down and tried to sleep. Tomorrow would come whether she was ready or not. Gabriel Thornwood sat in his study that evening. He held a glass of brandy, but he did not drink. His mind was elsewhere, on a pair of grey eyes, on a soft voice, on an unexpected kindness. He was 32 years old. He had been Earl of Thornwood for 10 years, since his father died and left him with estates, responsibilities, and expectations. He had done his duty. He had managed the land well. He had increased the family fortune. He had taken his seat in Parliament. He had done everything that was expected of him. Except marry. His mother had passed 5 years ago. She had wanted to see him settled, but he had not found anyone he could imagine spending his life with. The young ladies of the ton were pretty enough, but they seemed to blur together, all simpering smiles and calculated charm, all wanting his title, his wealth, none seeing him. He was lonely. He could admit that in the privacy of his own thoughts. His days were filled with work and duty. His nights were spent alone in this study. He had friends, but none close. He had companions, but none who truly knew him. He existed in a world of isolation, despite being surrounded by people. Last night he had been working on estate accounts. He had not meant to fall asleep, but exhaustion had claimed him. He woke to find himself covered by a thin shawl. It smelled of lavender and something sweet. He had asked his valet about it. The man knew nothing. But Mrs. Davies had mentioned seeing Miss Beatrice in the hallway very late. And then today he had met her. The poor relation. The charity case. The girl who was treated as a servant by her own family. He had seen the way they spoke to her, the way they dismissed her, the way they made her walk behind them like she was nothing. But she had given him her only shawl, on a cold night, when she had no reason to care whether he was comfortable, when he was a stranger to her, when she had nothing to gain from the gesture. That was kindness. True kindness. The kind that cost something. The kind that expected nothing in return. He found himself thinking about her as the days passed. He saw her sometimes in the house, always in the background, always serving others, always quiet and unobtrusive. She did not push herself forward. She did not seek his attention. Unlike Miss Margaret, who found excuses to be wherever he was. He began to notice small things. The way Beatrice's hands were gentle when she poured tea. The way she spoke softly to the servants. The way she read to the housekeeper's young daughter when she thought no one was watching. The way her face lit up when she walked in the garden alone, as if the flowers were old friends. She was not plain. That was a lie her family told. She had a quiet beauty, like a pearl among gaudy jewels. She did not demand attention, but once you saw her, truly saw her, it was hard to look away. 3 weeks into their stay, Lord Thornwood made a decision. He called Uncle Richard to his study. The older man arrived with a hopeful expression. No doubt he thought this was about Margaret. "Mr. Hartley," Gabriel began, "I have a proposition for you." "Yes, my lord?" Uncle Richard leaned forward eagerly. "I wish to marry your niece." Uncle Richard's face lit up. "My lord, I am honored. Margaret will be delighted. She has spoken of nothing but you since we arrived." "Not Miss Margaret," Gabriel said quietly. "Miss Beatrice." The room went silent. Uncle Richard's mouth opened and closed. He looked like a fish. "I beg your pardon? I wish to marry Miss Beatrice Hartley. I would like your permission and blessing." "But she has nothing, no dowry, no connections. She is no one." "She is someone to me," Gabriel said. His voice was firm. "She has shown me more genuine kindness than anyone in recent memory. I believe she would make an excellent countess." "My lord, surely you jest. Margaret is far more suitable.
She is accomplished, beautiful, well-trained in society manners. I am not interested in Miss Margaret. I am interested in Miss Beatrice. Will you grant permission or not?" Uncle Richard sputtered, but he was not a fool. A connection to an earl was valuable, even if it was through the poor relation instead of his own daughter. "Of course, my lord. You have my permission, though I cannot imagine what you see in the girl." "Then you are not looking closely enough." That evening, Beatrice was summoned to the drawing room. She went with dread in her heart. Aunt Louisa was there, Uncle Richard, Margaret and Penelope, and Lord Thornwood. They all turned to look at her as she entered. "Come in, Beatrice," Uncle Richard said. His voice was falsely jovial. "Lord Thornwood has something to ask you." Beatrice looked at the Earl. He was watching her with those blue eyes. She could not read his expression. Was she in trouble? Had she done something wrong? Gabriel stepped forward. He took her hand. She trembled at the contact. "Miss Beatrice," he said, "I know this is sudden. I know we have not had much opportunity to speak. But I would like to ask for your hand in marriage." The room spun. Beatrice stared at him. This could not be real. He was an earl. She was no one. Why would he want her? "I do not understand," she whispered. "I am asking you to be my wife," he said gently, "if you will have me." "But why?" He smiled. It was a small smile, but genuine. "Because you gave me your shawl. Because you are kind when you have no reason to be. Because I have watched you these past weeks. I see who you are. And I believe we could build a good life together." Aunt Louisa made a strangled noise. Margaret looked ready to faint. Penelope's mouth hung open. Uncle Richard cleared his throat. "It is a great honor, Beatrice," Uncle Richard said firmly. "You will accept, of course." Beatrice looked at Lord Thornwood, really looked at him. She saw loneliness there. She saw hope. She saw something that might be the beginning of caring. He was offering her escape, security, a life where she would not be a burden. But was that enough? Would he grow to resent her? Would she spend her life trying to be worthy of a position she never sought? "May I have a moment to think, my lord?" she asked. "Of course," he said. "Take all the time you need." But she saw the flicker of worry in his eyes. He was afraid she would refuse. Why would a powerful earl fear her refusal? Beatrice stepped back. She looked at her aunt and uncle. They would be furious if she said no. They would make her life even more miserable. She looked at Margaret, who was seething with jealousy. She looked back at Lord Thornwood. And she made her choice. "I will marry you, my lord," she said softly. "Thank you for asking." Relief washed over his face. He brought her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. "Thank you," he said. "You have made me very happy." Aunt Louisa excused herself quickly. Margaret and Penelope followed, their faces red. Uncle Richard stayed only long enough to discuss wedding arrangements. A month from now, at the estate chapel, a small ceremony. When they were finally alone, Gabriel turned to Beatrice. "I know this is strange," he said. "I know you barely know me, but I promise you, I will do everything in my power to make you happy." "Why me?" she asked. "You could have anyone. Someone beautiful, someone accomplished, someone with a proper dowry." "I do not want anyone else," he said. I want someone real, someone kind, someone who sees beyond titles and wealth, someone who would give her only shawl to a stranger because she thought he might be cold. I want you, Beatrice." Her name sounded different in his voice. Not sharp like when Aunt Louisa said it. Not dismissive like when her cousins used it. Gentle, like it mattered. "I will try to be a good wife," she said. "I will try to be a good husband," he replied. They stood in the drawing room together. Two lonely people. Two wounded souls. Beginning something neither of them fully understood. But beginning it together. The next few weeks passed in a blur. Beatrice had a new wardrobe made, proper gowns, beautiful fabrics, colors that suited her. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. The dressmaker had exclaimed over her figure. The modiste had said her coloring was lovely. That mattered more to Beatrice than anything else. Finally, her family left. Their carriage rolled down the drive. Beatrice watched from the window and felt nothing but relief. She would see them again, of course. But they had no power over her now. She was free. Gabriel came to stand beside her. "Are you all right?" "Yes," she said, and she meant it. "I am more than all right." That night Gabriel came to her chamber. She was nervous. She knew what was expected on a wedding night. But he did not rush. He sat beside her on the edge of the bed. He took her hand. "I will not push you," he said. "We have time. All the time in the world." "I am your wife," she said. "I want to be your wife in truth." "We will get there," he said. "But not because it is expected. Because we both want it. Because we care for each other." He kissed her forehead. Then he left her to sleep alone. Beatrice lay in the darkness. She touched her lips where he had kissed her earlier. She felt hope blooming in her chest. Maybe this marriage could be more than an arrangement. Maybe it could be real. The days that followed were strange and wonderful. Beatrice woke in a beautiful room. She wore beautiful clothes. She ate at the table with her husband. She was treated with respect by everyone in the household. It was so different from her life before that she sometimes felt dizzy with it. Gabriel was attentive. He asked her to join him for breakfast. He invited her to walk with him in the gardens. He showed her the estate and introduced her to the tenants. He asked her opinion on household matters. He listened to her ideas about improvements to the servants' quarters. Slowly, she began to relax. She began to believe that this was real, that she truly had a place here, that she was wanted. One afternoon she was reading in the library. Gabriel came in and sat across from her. "I have to go to London for a week," he said. "Parliamentary business. Will you come with me?" "If you wish me to." "I do," he said. "I want you by my side, always." She smiled. "Then I will come." London was overwhelming. The townhouse was grand. The social season was in full swing. Beatrice had to attend balls and dinners. She had to meet other members of the ton. She was terrified. But Gabriel stayed close. He introduced her proudly. He danced with her at every ball. He made it clear that he valued her, that she was not just his wife in name. She was his partner. One evening, they attended a ball at the home of a duke. Beatrice wore a beautiful gown of deep blue. Her hair was dressed with pearls. She felt almost pretty, almost like she belonged. But then she saw her aunt and cousins. They had come to London as well. Margaret approached with a false smile. "Beatrice," she said sweetly. "How lovely you look. Marriage to an earl agrees with you." "Thank you, Margaret." Of course, everyone is talking about how unexpected the match was. A poor relation with no dowry. Some say the earl must have lost a wager. Others think he was bewitched. Beatrice felt the old shame creeping back. "I am sure people say many things." "They do," Margaret said. Her voice turned sharp. "They wonder why he chose you. Plain, poor you. When he could have had anyone. They wonder how long it will last before he realizes his mistake." The words cut deep, deeper than they should have. Beatrice had been happy these past weeks, but Margaret's venom reminded her of all her old fears. She was not good enough. She would never be good enough. Gabriel would realize it soon. She excused herself and fled to a balcony. The cool night air hit her face. She gripped the railing and tried to breathe, tried to push down the panic. "Beatrice?" Gabriel's voice came from behind her. "What happened?" She could not turn around, could not face him. "Nothing. I just needed air." He moved to stand beside her. "Margaret said something to you. I saw her face. What did she say?" "It does not matter." "It matters to me. You are upset. Tell me." She turned to him. Tears threatened to fall. "She said everyone is wondering why you married me. She said they think you will realize your mistake, that you will regret choosing someone like me." Gabriel's face hardened. "Someone like you?" "Plain, poor, no one important." He took her face in his hands. "Listen to me," he said fiercely. "You are the most important person in my life. You have brought light to days that were dark. You have given me something I thought I would never have. You make me want to come home. You make me want to talk about my day. You make me laugh. You make me feel less alone. That is not nothing. That is everything." "But I am not beautiful. I am not accomplished. I am not what an earl should marry." "You are beautiful," he said. "You are accomplished in ways that matter, and you are exactly what this earl should marry, what this earl did marry, what this earl is falling in love with." The words hung in the air between them. Love. He had said love. "You cannot mean that," she whispered. "I mean every word," he said. "I am falling in love with you, Beatrice. I have been since the night you gave me your shawl, since you showed me that there was still kindness in the world, since you saw me as more than a title. I love you, and I do not care what anyone else thinks." Tears fell down her cheeks.
"I love you too,"
she said. "I think I have loved you since that first walk in the garden, when you looked at me like I mattered, when you saw me." He kissed her, not gentle like before, but fierce, possessive, claiming. She kissed him back with all the emotion in her heart. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "Come home with me," he said. "Let me show you how much I love you, how much I want you, how much you mean to me." They left the ball. They rode home in the carriage. Gabriel held her close. He kissed her hair, her face, her neck. By the time they reached the townhouse, she was trembling with want. That night, they became husband and wife in every way. Gabriel was gentle, passionate, loving. He made her feel cherished, beautiful, wanted. He whispered her name like a prayer. He showed her with his body what his words had declared. He loved her, and she loved him. After, she lay in his arms. Her head rested on his chest. She could hear his heartbeat.
strong and steady. "I never thought I could be this happy," she said. "Neither did I," he replied. "You have given me something I did not know I was missing. A home. Not just a house, but a home. Somewhere I want to be. Someone I want to be with." She tilted her head up to kiss him. "You have given me the same. I was so alone before, so tired of being invisible, of being nothing. You made me feel like someone, like I matter." "You do matter," he said. "You matter more than anything." They fell asleep, tangled together. Two people who had been lonely for so long. Two people who had found each other. Two people who were healing together. The weeks that followed were blissful. They returned to the estate. They settled into a routine. Breakfast together, walks in the garden. Gabriel working in his study while Beatrice read nearby. Dinners where they talked about everything and nothing. Nights in each other's arms. Beatrice began to take on more responsibilities as mistress of the house. She met with the housekeeper. She oversaw menus. She visited tenants and brought baskets of food. The people on the estate loved her. She was kind and generous. She remembered names. She cared. Gabriel watched her blossom. She smiled more, laughed more. She played the piano again, something she had not done since her parents died. Her music filled the house. It filled his heart. He found himself watching her constantly, the way she moved, the way she spoke softly to the servants, the way she hummed while arranging flowers, the way her face lit up when he entered a room. He had not known he could love someone so much. He had not known such happiness existed. One evening he found her in the garden. The sun was setting. Golden light bathed everything. She was cutting roses. She wore a simple dress. Her hair was loose around her shoulders. She looked like something from a painting. "Beautiful," he said. She turned and smiled. "The roses?" "You." She blushed. Even after weeks of marriage, she still blushed when he complimented her. "You are biased, my lord." "I am honest, my lady." He came to her and wrapped his arms around her waist. She leaned back against him. They stood there in the garden. Two people perfectly content. Two people in love. "I have something to tell you," she said softly. "What is it?" "I think I am with child." Gabriel froze. Then he turned her to face him. "Truly?" She nodded. Tears sparkled in her eyes. "I am not certain yet, but I think so." "Are you pleased?" "Pleased?" He laughed. A huge, joyful sound. He picked her up and spun her around. "I am overjoyed, ecstatic. Beatrice, this is wonderful." He set her down gently. He kissed her with all the love in his heart. "You have given me everything," he said. "A home, love, now a child. I do not deserve you." "You deserve all of it," she said. "You deserve to be happy. We both do." But happiness is a fragile thing, and the world is not always kind to those who have it. The letter came on a grey morning in October. Gabriel opened it at breakfast. His face went pale. His hand shook. "What is it?" Beatrice asked. "My cousin," he said. "Arthur. He is contesting the marriage." "What?"
Why?
He is next in line if I have no heirs. If the marriage is invalid, any children we have would not inherit. He is claiming that I married you under false pretenses, that you used some form of trickery or manipulation. Beatrice felt cold all over. That is not true. I know that, but he has influence. He has made formal complaints to the church, to Parliament. He is demanding an investigation. Can he do that? He can try, Gabriel said. His voice was tight with anger. And he will make our lives miserable while he does. He will drag your name through the mud. He will make accusations. He will try to prove you are not fit to be a countess. Beatrice stood. Her legs felt weak. Then let him. I know the truth. You know the truth. That is all that matters. It matters to me that he is trying to hurt you, that he is trying to take away what we have built. He cannot take it, she said, not unless we let him. We have each other. We have our love. That is real. That cannot be challenged or destroyed. But she was wrong. Over the next few weeks, the accusations grew. Arthur spread rumors in London. He told anyone who would listen that Beatrice had trapped Gabriel, that she had used her position as a poor relation to gain sympathy, that she had deliberately put herself in compromising situations. Letters arrived at the estate. Anonymous letters calling Beatrice terrible names, calling her a schemer, a gold digger, a witch. She tried to ignore them, but they hurt. They brought back all her old fears. Gabriel was furious. He wanted to call Arthur out, to challenge him, but that would only make things worse. It would validate the accusations, make it seem like there was something to hide. Beatrice tried to be strong, but the constant attacks wore on her. She stopped going to the village. She stopped visiting tenants. She did not want to bring shame on them, on Gabriel, on the child she carried. One night, Gabriel found her crying in their chamber. She tried to hide it, but he saw. He gathered her into his arms. "I am sorry," she sobbed. "This is my fault. If you had married someone else, someone suitable, this would not be happening." "Stop," he said fiercely. "This is not your fault. This is Arthur's fault. He is a bitter, greedy man who cannot stand to see others happy." "But the things they are saying, the accusations, what if people believe them? What if you lose everything because of me?" "I would rather lose everything than lose you," he said. "Do you understand? Titles, estates, wealth, none of it matters without you. You are what is important. You and our child." "But what do we do? How do we fight this?" Gabriel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "We tell the truth. Publicly. We make a statement. We show everyone that our marriage is real, that our love is real. We do not hide. We face this together. Will that be enough?" "It has to be." Gabriel called for a gathering at the estate. He invited the local gentry, the tenants, members of Parliament who were his friends. He invited Arthur as well. Let him come and make his accusations in person. The day of the gathering was cold. Rain threatened. Beatrice dressed carefully. She wore a simple but elegant gown. She wanted to look like what she was. A lady. A countess. Gabriel's wife. The hall was full. People whispered as she entered on Gabriel's arm. She kept her head high. She would not show fear, not today. Arthur was there. He was a thin man with cold eyes. He smirked when he saw Beatrice.
"Cousin," he said to Gabriel, "how good of you to finally address these concerns." "There are no concerns," Gabriel said. "Only lies you have spread." "Then let us hear the truth," Arthur said. "Tell everyone how this marriage came about. Tell them how this poor relation caught an earl." Gabriel stepped forward. The room fell silent. "I will tell you exactly how this marriage came about," he said. His voice carried through the hall. "I was alone. I had been alone for years. I had wealth, a title, everything society says a man should want. But I was empty. I worked myself to exhaustion trying to fill the void, trying to make my life mean something." He turned to Beatrice. He held out his hand. She took it. He pulled her to stand beside him. "One night, I fell asleep at my desk. I was cold and tired, and more alone than I had ever been. I woke the next morning to find that someone had covered me with a shawl. A thin, worn shawl that was clearly the only one its owner possessed. I did not know who had done it, but I wanted to find them, to thank them, to understand why they would show kindness to a stranger." He looked at the crowd. It was Beatrice. This woman who had been treated as a servant by her own family, who had nothing, who was given nothing. She saw me and thought only to offer comfort. She gave me her mother's shawl, the last precious thing she owned. She did not know I would find out. She expected nothing in return. His voice grew stronger. "That is the woman you are accusing. A woman who is kind when she has no reason to be. A woman who thinks of others before herself. A woman who has brought light and love into my life. I asked her to marry me because I wanted to spend my life with someone real. Someone good. Someone who saw me as a man, not just a title." He turned to Arthur. "You can make all the accusations you want. You can spread all the lies you wish. But you cannot change the truth. I love my wife. She loves me. Our marriage is valid. Our child will be my heir. And you have no power here." The room erupted. Some people applauded, some whispered. Arthur's face was red with rage. "This proves nothing," he sputtered. "Pretty words do not change facts." "What facts?" Beatrice said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard. She stepped forward. "The fact that I was poor, that is true. The fact that I had nothing, also true. The fact that I worked as a servant, that is true as well. But the fact that I trapped or manipulated Lord Thornwood, that is a lie." She looked around the room. "I did not ask him to marry me. I did not pursue him. I gave him a shawl because he looked cold. That is all. He chose to marry me. He asked me. I said yes because I saw in him a good man, a lonely man, a man who deserved to be loved. And I have loved him with everything in my heart." She turned to Arthur. "You want his title, his wealth." He read to her in the evenings. He talked to her belly and told their child stories. "What should we name the baby?" he asked one night. "If it is a girl, I would like to name her Catherine, after my mother." "Catherine Thornwood," he said. "It is beautiful. And if it is a boy?" "Whatever you wish." "Then Thomas, after my father. He would have loved you, you know. He would have been so happy to see me happy." Spring came with new life. Flowers bloomed, birds sang, and on a warm April morning, Beatrice went into labor. Gabriel paced outside the chamber. He wore a path in the carpet. Mrs. Davies came and went, The midwife gave occasional updates. Finally, after hours that felt like years, a baby's cry filled the air. Gabriel rushed to the door. Mrs. Davies emerged with a smile. "A son, my lord. A healthy baby boy. And Lady Beatrice as well." Gabriel nearly collapsed with relief. He was allowed in. Beatrice lay in bed, exhausted but glowing. In her arms was a tiny bundle. His son. Their son. "Thomas," she said softly. "Come meet your father." Gabriel approached slowly, reverently. He looked down at the small face, the tiny hands, the perfect little person they had created. Tears filled his eyes. "He is perfect." "He is ours," Beatrice said. Gabriel sat on the edge of the bed. He put his arm around Beatrice. He looked at his family, his wife, his son. His heart was so full he thought it might burst. "I never knew," he said. "I never knew life could be this good. You have given me everything, Beatrice. Everything I never knew I needed." "You gave it to me first," she said. "You saw me when no one else did. You chose me when you could have chosen anyone. You loved me when I did not even love myself. You saved me." "We saved each other," he said. They sat together, the new little family. Outside, the world continued, but here, in this room, there was only love, only peace, only the beginning of a beautiful life together. Months passed. Thomas grew. He had his father's dark hair and his mother's grey eyes. He was a happy baby, loved beyond measure. Gabriel was a devoted father. He held his son every day. He sang to him. He told him stories. He was determined that Thomas would never feel the loneliness he had felt. Beatrice bloomed as a mother. She was patient and gentle. She sang lullabies her own mother had sung. She read stories. She filled their home with warmth and laughter. One evening, when Thomas was sleeping, Gabriel and Beatrice walked in the garden. It was their habit now. The place where they had first walked together, where their love had begun. "Do you remember the first time we walked here?" Gabriel asked. "Of course," Beatrice said. "I was so nervous. I thought you could not possibly be interested in me. I was interested from the moment I woke with your shawl over my shoulders. I just did not understand it yet." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I never thought I would be this happy. When I was living with Aunt Louisa, I thought my life would always be grey, always small. I never imagined I could have this. A husband who loves me, a son, a home." "You deserve all of it," he said. "You deserve the world." "I have the world," she said. "Right here, with you." They stopped walking. Gabriel turned to face her. The moon was bright above them. It cast silver light over everything. He took her hands in his. "I want you to know something," he said. "Every day with you is a gift, every moment. You have taught me how to live, how to love, how to be happy. I was existing before, just going through the motions. But you made me come alive. You made me whole." "You did the same for me," she whispered. "I will spend the rest of my life making sure you know how loved you are, how cherished, how important. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, Beatrice. You and Thomas. You are my everything."
She reached up and cupped his face. "And you are mine, always." They kissed under the moonlight. Two people who had found each other against all odds. Two people who had been broken and made each other whole. Two people whose love had transformed them both. Years later, when Thomas was grown, he would ask his father about how he met his mother, and Gabriel would smile. He would take out an old, worn shawl, the one he kept in his desk drawer, the one that had started everything. "Your mother gave me this," he would say. "When I was cold and alone. She had nothing, but she gave me what she had. That is who she is. That is why I love her. And that is why you should always remember to be kind. You never know when a simple act of kindness will change everything." And Thomas would understand, because he grew up in a house filled with love, with parents who adored each other, with the knowledge that he was wanted and cherished. He grew up knowing that real wealth was not gold or titles. It was love. It was family. It was home. Gabriel and Beatrice lived long, happy lives. They had more children, 3 daughters who were as kind and intelligent as their mother. They watched their children grow and marry and have children of their own. They grew old together. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, they would walk in the garden. Gabriel would take Beatrice's hand. She would lean against him. And they would remember. The cold night in the library. The thin shawl.
The simple act of kindness that had brought them together. "I would do it again," Beatrice would say. "Even knowing all the pain that came after. I would give you that shawl again, because it brought me to you." "And I would marry you again," Gabriel would reply. "1,000 times. In any life, in any world. I would always choose you." They were proof that love could heal, that kindness mattered, that 2 lonely people could find each other and build something beautiful. They were proof that happy endings were real, that hope was worth holding on to, that sometimes the smallest gesture could change everything. And when they were very old, when their children and grandchildren filled the estate with noise and laughter, Gabriel and Beatrice would sit together by the fire. He would hold her hand. She would rest her head on his shoulder. And they would know, with absolute certainty, that they had lived well, that they had loved fully, that they had found what so many search for their whole lives. They had found home in each other.